So if you're in that place where you want to scale to 7 figures and you don't know how to make it happen, I totally hear you. This is one of my most requested videos, and I'm sharing the exact strategy that I implemented to go from $442 all the way up to 7 figures in my first 18 months in business. Now, I know that there's a lot of different things that you could implement. There's a lot of people teaching different methodology online. This is what worked for me, and I've seen it work for thousands of clients around the world over my last 10 years as a success coach. Now, what I want you to really understand is that you can start this even if you're brand new in business. I started this, like I said, from the very beginning. I was brand new, had never run a business, didn't know how to make money, figured it all out, worked with people who taught me their processes, and was able to implement this and get the success that I was craving. And the same is possible for you. So if you're new to my world, I'm Emily. I skipped grad school and to work at Starbucks. Ended up moving back in with my parents, ultimately moved to London, England on a whim where I met my husband online. Hi, James. I started an online business and scaled it from $442 all the way up to 7 figures. And now I help women around the world create a life that they love. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So before we get started, what I want you to understand is I was never set out to create $1 million. In fact, I just wanted to make 6 figures before my 30th birthday. That was the main goal. 7 figures wasn't even on my radar. So I share that because many people don't understand what they're actually capable of. We don't know that we are actually meant for more. We can do more. We can achieve more than we ever thought possible. So I'm going to plant that seed right now because you are capable of so much. And that includes 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever it is that you want to do. All right. So when I was starting off, I had no idea who I wanted to work with. Initially, I started my business to do life coaching. And as the business started to grow, I got more and more entrepreneurs asking me how I was doing what I was doing. And so it morphed into business coaching. But my first tip for you is to really uncover who that ideal client actually is and who you want to focus on. Now, for those of us who are multi-passionate, raise his hand. This is a hard one because we don't actually want to focus on one thing. But I promise you that if you do this from the beginning and you get as niche and specific as possible, you will see more success. The reason for this, if you think about it, is because people want specialists. So imagine that you, heaven forbid, had a terrible illness. You would want to go and see a doctor who was a specialist. You wouldn't want to work with someone who is a generalist. You wouldn't just go to your family practice doctor. And it's the same thing for whatever problem you solve in your clients. They want a specialist. So consider who that ideal client is, and also what is their number one problem that they want you to help them solve. So maybe, like me, you're a coach and you help people with weight loss. Can you get even more specific though and help women over 40 with weight loss, or moms over 40 with weight loss, or mompreneurs over 40 with weight loss who also have back pain. So we can get really specific here, and then you could become the go-to person for that group of people. The way I like to think about this is think about standing on a stage. And in the beginning, your stage is the size of a tree trunk. So it's about you and one other person on that stage. But as you grow your business, your stage can hold more and more people. So you can talk about different topics as you move forward, as you already have a community, as you have a following. That's why people like, say, the Tony Robbins of the world. He can talk about health and business and finance and mindset and relationships because he has the bigger platform. His stage can actually hold more people. But in the beginning, pick that one person or group of people who you are speaking to. Now, this leads me to number 2. Create the offering for that person. Now, one of the things that I think is so important here is that when you have nailed your ideal client, you know who your niche is, it's so much easier to create that offering for them because you have a specific person in mind. Whereas if you're creating a program for weight loss, of course, it's going to be a little bit harder because there's different nuances. Everyone has a different story. Some people do have back pain. Some people don't. Some people are parents and so they don't have as much time. Some people are entrepreneurs and so they're sitting a lot. Whatever the thing is, right? They might not be sitting a lot, but you understand what I mean. And so the more specific you get, you can actually tailor your program or your experience or your product to that person. And it makes it so much easier. And then, as you'll hear at the end of this video, you can implement the full-blown strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you to hit that 7-figure level. So you're going to get clear on your ideal client. You're going to get clear on what the thing is that you're selling to support them in getting the result that they're craving. And by the way, people pay for the result. They don't pay for your story or your exact experience. They're paying for the result. And then you get into messaging and marketing and visibility. Now, I'm not going to go super in depth with this. We don't have enough time to get into every single marketing and messaging strategy that I did. But one of the things that I did was I got very, very, very visible. So I was one of the first people online to actually talk about the amount of money that I was making in my business, at least female coaches. Now, of course, everyone and their mom is doing that, and that's great. I love hearing all the success stories. But one of the things that you need to do is figure out how you get in front of your ideal client and how you capture their attention. Because there is so much noise out there, because there are so many messages being given to our ideal client on a regular basis, every single day, every single minute, you want to figure out how to really capture their attention. Is it through podcasts? Is it through video? Is it through Instagram? Is it through Pinterest? Is it through long form copy, emails? What is it? And it might be a combination of those things, but try and pick a few to start with, to test, to get practice with, versus doing every single thing under the sun. And if you already have a marketing strategy, dial in what is actually working. You should be testing and tracking data to see what is actually converting and leading to sales. And then you do more of that. So after we get more visible, we start spreading our message, we dive into more of the marketing components, then we go into the sales process. Now, specifically, this is really important to all of you listening, whether you're at the beginning of your business or you're seasoned. One of the biggest issues I had was closing the sale, and maybe you're the same. But the thing that made a huge difference to me hitting 7 figures is this piece. So I hope that you are listening, all right? And before I dive into that, I want you to sign up for my How to Get Anything You Want masterclass. It's below and it's completely free. So go ahead and take that action. All right, so coming back to this 4th piece of the puzzle, the sales piece of the puzzle, there was a period of time where I had 54 no's in a row. So basically 54 people said no to working with me. And yet I was getting all those sales calls. So I was clearly attracting people. My messaging was working, but I really hadn't made it past about a 5K month. And so although at the time my goal was still that 6 figures in 6 months, I wanted to do more than the 5K month. And so I was talking to one of my coaches during that time and really getting her support around why this wasn't happening, why this wasn't working. And one of the things that she really helped me with, she helped me to increase my confidence around my pricing. So number 1, what she told me to do was cut my prices in half. Now at the time, I was charging about $3,000 for 90 days of coaching, which I thought was a really great price. She told me to cut it in half and charge $1,500 for the 90 days. I thought she was a little bit crazy, but I decided I was gonna adhere to what she was saying. I was going to give it a try. So she said, you're not allowed to talk about anything else. You're not allowed to market anything else. All of your messaging has to be around 10 spots at $1,500. So she gave me some parameters. She gave me a deadline and she said, that's all you're going to talk about. So that's what I did. I actually hosted 4 essentially webinars. They were teleclasses back in the day. And I pitched this one-to-one program. And again, I sold it at the $1,500 rate, and I was actually able to sell 10 spots and make $15,000. Now, this is important because this increased my confidence. It changed everything for me. I started to see what I was capable of, and I got used to having those 5-figure months, which obviously are really important if you're trying to hit the 7-figure level. And I became fully booked in my one-on-one practice, and I got a lot of experience with some incredible clients, which will help me with the next stage I'm going to talk about in just a second. So really think about your sales process right now. How do you feel about the price point that you're at? How do you feel about what you're selling? Is there anything you can do to increase your confidence and really change the trajectory of your business just by shifting your energy and shifting your mindset? Because when I had that $1,500 price point, it was almost like this was the best thing since sliced bread. And if someone didn't want it, I was like, no problem, on to the next, in a respectful way, but I wasn't attached to making the sale. And that energetic shift is really, really important because you don't want to feel like you're needy. You don't want to feel like you need to have those clients sign up in order to pay your bills or whatever the thing is, even if that may be the reality. Just like dating, we don't want to come to the call with needy energy. We want to come with confident energy. And if you're telling people a price point that feels out of reach or feels like it's not actually in alignment with what you want to be selling, or you feel nervous about it, people are going to be able to sense that. And that's what was happening for me as well. I wasn't grounded in my price point, and so it was very hard to make the sale, and it was out of alignment. There's a few other sales strategies strategies that I also implemented. I'll link the video that includes all that information at the end of this because that's really important for you to watch. All right, next step that I took after I sold those 10 spots was I got clear on the next step in my customer's journey. So oftentimes people will tell you, just go ahead and sell one product until you hit 7 figures. Now, I agree with that to a certain extent. I believe you should focus on one ideal client, but I don't believe that it's always possible or the right way to do it by just focusing on one product. Sometimes you want to create a couple of things for that ideal client along their journey. So for me, once I was fully booked with one-on-one clients, I raised the price of my one-on-one program back up to $3,000 and then very quickly up to $5,000. And I created a group program so I could reach more people who weren't ready for the $5,000 mark. And I got them into something, I think I started at $697 for the group program. So that was something, again, I was meeting my customer with where they were at. It was the same sort of result that they would experience, except they got one-to-one with me in the other program and this one was in group. And I kept going after that. Then I created a VIP day because I was going to be traveling around the world. So I hosted a VIP day in Australia. I hosted one in France. So anywhere I was going to be going to network and be a part of events, I also offered a VIP day for in-person clients. So that was another offering. And then after that, I launched an even bigger group program. It was a 6-month container teaching people exactly how to do what I had done. So I basically morphed my original group coaching program into the next level one. And then after that, I created a mastermind. So there were essentially 4 steps that my ideal client could take to work with me in the span of that 1 year. And they all kind of built on the stage that came before it and were different price points. So I could reach my ideal client at different stages of their own journey and also reach people who were at different monetary and financial levels. So that was really powerful for me. And honestly, that's the main thing that I did was I created an offer suite that met people along their customer journey. So the person who was just starting out in business, there was something for them. The person who was already at the 5-figure month, something for them. The person who wanted to scale further, there was something for them. So I just kept up leveling and raising the bar in my own business and then invited more and more people to join me. And I continued to raise my prices, which obviously helped. So there was a point where I was charging about $25,000 for my one-on-one coaching, and I've gone up from there. And so I would really consider your own price point, your own model, what it is that you're offering. Is there something else that you can create for your customer journey that is more high ticket? Or is there a way to capitalize on what you've already created, raise the price of that? Because it's either going to be that you raise your level of audience, the amount of people following through marketing and messaging and visibility, or you increase the price of your product. So hitting 7 figures really is just a numbers game. And once you implement those steps that I just described, it can be really easy to do. So just to give you a few tangibles here, I wanted to share an exact breakdown from a 7-figure year that I had. So you can see here all the numbers in the different programs that added up to a 7-figure year. And I hope that kind of gets your wheels turning and supports you in creating some new products in your company or just figuring out how you can also scale. Now, one of the other things that I want to mention is that money mindset is a huge portion of how I was able to do this. Like I said, I just wanted to hit 6 figures before my 30th birthday. I actually did it way before my 30th birthday and ended up hitting 7 figures around that same time. So things really accelerated for me. And I know that's also because I transformed my money mindset. So definitely use the link below and sign up for my money mindset masterclass that includes an ebook as well as a workshop. And that'll really support you in making some big changes as you go up to 7 figures. The truth is we have to actually become the person who thinks in the way that a millionaire would think before it will actually happen. Otherwise, we're going to self-sabotage. We're not going to take the action. We're not going to believe it's possible for us. So we won't put anything out there. We won't talk to the clients. So it's really, really important that you become that person first, and then you're able to take the action to get those big results. So if you loved this video, definitely watch the next one. It's going to build on what we just talked about, give you some more food for thought, and help make this one even more powerful.